Staying around positive people, not being afraid to fail, working on my own personal attitude, and acknowledging that as a leader, sometimes you're not right. Sometimes you're the dumbest person in the room. But if you're the right leader, that means everyone around you is smarter and better, and or trying to get better and trying to encourage you to be better every day. And like, it's something I talk about with my management team all the time, who they also manage Tank and the Bangas and Big Frida, and it's just positive energy all the time, and it's always, okay, tomorrow we're gonna do better. Every day we're gonna get better. Every day we're gonna do better. And in my brain, I'm like, why not? You know, if it's up to me to make a decision to do better, okay, great. You know, and when I think back on a lot of the songs that really inspired me to do that, I'm like, dang. Now I am in a position to empower someone else to do that in my music. And so, like, every time I think about encouraging songs, I always think about that Nas song, that I Know I Can, and how much it used to play on the radio. But it was hitting me like that. I'm like, yep, here I go. Here I go. You know, same thing with when Carter 2 came out, Hustler music. Every single day, my boyfriend at the time was that in the morning, belly at night, every day. But at the same time, you know, every time
belly at night.
Oh God, I sold my soul to the devil.
Oh my
gosh. Oh man.
It's cold on this level.
I can't.
It's 2:00 and I'm just about to hit the street.
Oh my God.
Then we all live it, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
so,
but I felt like that era of Lil Wayne to me was just as important as when Formation came out by Beyonce. Like, it was just focus. Okay, I see it, I want it. Like, okay, great. I work till I own it. Like, okay, great. That's what it is. And I know so many people that live in these endless wormholes of negativity. I know that other people also, not other people, some people have just cards stacked. It just sucks. Life sucks for them sometimes, and it's, you know, unfortunate. But because I'm in this situation and I'm able to make these changes where I'm able to make them, I try to take advantage of that, because the person that comes after me might not be able to do that. Or I try to be wild the way that I'm wild sometimes, so that it's easier for the black girl that wants to talk crazy after me.
And I will say too, even like the work you did with Amy, like the Hugh Fed Up, a lot of the speaking that you do is inspiring, especially in particular for Houston. There's a number of things like I've seen you speak on where it's just like, these are the things you need to do. And it's empowering coming from you, because it's like, look, I do a different type of music. I'm releasing it in a different type of way. Like, I'm in this big band. Like, I'm going against odds that you say can't be done, and I'm doing it. So I think it's really interesting, too, when, I mean, you know what people will say about Houston, like, yeah, you can't do it, you can't do this,
Always.
Can't do that, can't do that.
Always.
But then, you know, I you know, like we always pointing out, like, I'm like, Houston artists have been number one for like the top 2-3 summers.
Yeah.
You've got like a lot of the top artists that are coming out here. A number of things are happening here, and it's just like these.
It's hard. Houston is hard, and it's always been a hard market to break into if you don't have the relationship. The relationship is, and I will reiterate, is very hard to break into, because if you're not in that circle, sometimes people don't want to fuck with you. If they had no role in your success, sometimes people don't want to fuck with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes they're just assholes.
Because even in your bio, I mean, you've talked about like having difficulty early on.
Yeah. I had difficulty like 2 days ago. You know, like there's people.
Yeah, we saw your Twitter.
Oh my gosh. Like, it's just, and it takes a lot for me sometimes not to just call people out, because there are a lot of people's faves out here that be acting all kinds of crazy and speaking disrespectfully to other artists. But the thing is that I can't worry about them. I can't allow them to consume me or to make me another level of angry, because it's not going to get me to where it is that I'm trying to go. And so you know, when it comes to just, I'm like, I can't even worry about him. When it comes to defending artists in Houston, I'll say this. I watched a Reba McEntire masterclass recently on maintaining a career in country music. And I felt like her statement on country music applies to all music. So when it comes to industry cities, New York, Nashville, LA, if we're talking hip hop, Atlanta would be thrown in the mix, and so would Houston and New Orleans. You don't have to live in any of these places to be a successful artist. You don't. However, you do have to do business in those cities eventually to get what it is that you need. Because the people that are going to run your worldwide distribution might not live in your city. The people that are going to get you the sync licensing that you deserve, they might not live in your city. And with that in mind, you know, those aren't the only two things that make the music world go around. But at the same time, I feel like feeling like you have to be in one of those big cities to be successful, like that's nonsense. Will it be easier to build relationships and to meet people that are directly involved with what it is that you do, that do it, live it, eat it, breathe it every day? Hell yeah. And some people need that. But if you're okay with working wherever it is you work, do that. Yeah. I live here because I like it here. I do a lot of business not here, but it's nice to come home.
And I mean, the other thing too is it's kind of like what we were talking about before the show started. Were part of that generation, this last generation of, in terms of how we deal with the internet. And so this makes things a lot different where I'm like, yeah, you can be other places now and still be able to like amass an audience just using your phone. It's just that, you're right. When it comes time to doing business, there are people that live in like certain areas where it's like, hey, you know, these people are in New York, these people are in Atlanta, these people are in Los Angeles, these people are in hopefully Houston. Y'all all moving down there, like move down here.
California, people live in Houston now, so
that just come down here. It is so cheap to live.
Not anymore, but
it's still cheaper to live than everybody. I think you were at one of the Hugh Fed Ups. I remember you were saying like the struggle. I'm not trying to downplay the struggle of a Houston artist, but she's just, you were saying you can be here in Houston and be struggling and have like a nice apartment,
a front yard.
I said it is a different type of thing. And it's one of those things where you have to kind of go and experience other cities to see like how other people are living. And it's like, it's not to say that, your life is not hard or your life is not easy or anything like that. But it's like, like sometimes you get some benefits in your city that you don't even really understand. Like, you could be in a high rise and just not really even making that much money here. Houston, not that much money, but I mean, Houston, it's got some cushion in some areas.
Yeah. I'd rather struggle in Houston than Lake Charles.
Sorry, Lake Charles fan base.
I love the Golden Nugget.
I'm a big fan of Lake Charles.
Love where?
The Golden Nugget.
The Golden Nugget, yeah.
Golden Nugget. Yeah. No. Look, I remember teaching, and it was like I would be teaching back and forth from New Orleans, like dealing with like little mentorship there, and then I came down here, and it's just different. Like you're talking to the kids, and you're like, it's rough out here. And then after Katrina came, I had students that would come down here, and they were moving to areas where my new students were, and they were like, it's great.
Yeah.
You're like,
once they got here,
what? They're like, yo, what's going on over here? And it's like, you just don't even understand. They're like, there are just different positives and negatives to your city. There's just different differences to your city that you don't even understand. Like, that's just how it is.
Speaking of Katrina, how did Katrina affect you?
Katrina.
I think Katrina made me better.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I met so many musicians from New Orleans that were gigging here and trying to find gigs here, and a lot that stayed here. And then it only made me more interested in going to New Orleans when it finally got rebuilt. And so, the first time I went to New Orleans, actually, I was to see Lionel Richie that summer before Katrina at Essence. And that was the only Essence I've ever been to. Because in my mind, I'm like, I don't like I need to be working Essence.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to just go to Essence and
speak it into existence.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing the work that I need to do so that I can go. And it's not because I'm not there yet, but it's because Essence happens during one of the most busy touring seasons, of the year. And so it's like if I don't get the invitation, I gotta get my money somewhere else that summer. Yeah. So it'll come eventually.
Now, what's it also like? I mean, being in these different genres. You spoke earlier about, just kind of taking it back, switching schools. Thinking like, hey, I get here and this is the first time I'm realizing like, oh, talking white and da-da-da-da, like we're from Sugarland. So it is a thing where, and we lived in Alaska and we moved around and it's like, you are getting exposed.
What part of Alaska?
Anchorage.
Okay.
Anchorage is great.
Only two places, Anchorage and Juneau. You ain't gonna live in
Fairbanks.
I went to Fairbanks.
Fairbanks.
A few times.
Fairbanks.
It's not much, but I liked it.
Yeah.
Anchorage is a better city.
I want to go to
Fairbanks
Anchorage.
is trash. No, I'm starting to start Fairbanks. Anchorage beef like Dallas, Houston.
Oh gosh.
They got what's his name? Joker the Bell Bondsman.
Oh
my
gosh.
gosh.
I just want to go because it's so beautiful. It's not
It
so
is.
much.
It's great.
It's not so much
empty.
about like what to do because like I love not being bothered.
Oh yeah, it's a different type of green.
First of all,
than you've ever seen.
Alaska is the spot to move to if you. It's just a state full of people that don't want to be bothered.
I've been to Alaska twice and I had great times both times. So I was sad because I thought I was going to actually be doing a show there this month, but it just didn't pan out the way that. I thought.
Man!
Oh, there's no sales tax there. Everything is like if it says 99 cents, it's 99
cents.
And they're starting to get people to come up there.
When
we were there, the first concert.
The first concert we ever went to.
It was MC Hammer,
TLC, and Boys to Men.
And
TLC was like, nah, fam.
TLC did not show. And that's what I think that's why we went. I'm going to be honest. I was like, I'm trying to see TLC and MC Hammer. I wanted TLC and MC Hammer. I wasn't really like, I like Boys to Men. I like Boys to Men.
I'm enjoying their comeback right now.
But I'm just saying, at the time, I was like, if I got TLC was
Motown Philly,
like
back
hot.
again. All of them was hot. That's an all-star cast.
I understand.
MC Hammer, too legit to quit.
He toured with all of them people. I don't know their names, but I just remember the dude with the hair.
The dude with the motor oil.
I was
yes,
like,
on his head.
My dude is out here. But you do a different. Awesome. This is I don't even know why I got off my question. You do a different genre of music. You're very pro-black. You always speak on black issues. You're always supporting black, but you also do a music that isn't always ingratiated to current African American radio because it's still based on it's black music.
Yeah.
But it is a thing where it's like, yes.
Current African American radio is.
Say it. Come on,
go there?
Come on, sister.
Say it.
Get it out. It's
your
humble opinion.
You might be saying what we
This
feel.
is all opinions.
Current black radio, in my opinion, is very limited.
Limited is a great word.
And it's it's like any other radio to where they go with what's hot and what's popping. But I remember the day Truth Hurts came out and putting on my Twitter, if you go back, my homegirl wrote a hit today. This is amazing.
Okay.
And then not hearing it on radio until almost 2.5 years later.
Oh my goodness.
And now hearing Good as Hell drop and now hearing all this other stuff drop. The thing is that the first record by the Suffers and the second record by the Suffers, well, not the second record, the first record for the Suffers was not meant for radio. It was meant for us. And then when we got on Letterman, we had to release it faster because you don't go on one of those shows unless you have something to promote.
Yeah.
So we dropped an EP. Well, had a great year after that. Time to drop the record. Great. Record does well. Cool. Got to stay on the road some more to keep making that money. So start working on second record. Put the second record out. Second record does great on black radio. Not in Houston. Everywhere else. But, I send my love to all the radio stations in Houston because just because my music isn't played doesn't mean that it's not necessarily good. It just means that it's not the right time.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, I don't worry about what people are ready for right now because I seek out to make timeless art. Sometimes it might seem dated, but then you see things repeated. Right now, we're starting to see tons of that repeated in R&B. And then I have a feeling that by the time everybody catches up,
they'll be like, "Oh, we're already here."
You're right. Yeah, because
I'll be
real
like, "Hey,
R&B
everybody,
we're here and we've been here."
Exactly,
We've been here.
and that's been the case with almost every single one of my friends that I've seen climb up, from her, Kurungbin. You know, it's like, okay, I just need to stay focused on myself. The funny thing is
wait, say their name again.
Kurungbin.
Okay, because we just got to make sure we know how to pronounce it.
I thought it was Karangbin.
First of all,
Kurungbin.
Somebody sent it to us one time. It's like a couple of years ago. We played it in the car. We're like, "This great. This sounds like the music that Wu-Tang is gonna sample." Like,
yeah, definitely.
I said it's
Lori
incredible.
just sat in with Wu-Tang like a few months ago.
This is like a few months ago. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about this was like a couple like that first album, and it was like it. You know, it's cool. I hate to be like the douche, like it was like a little band secret. Like you'll be sitting watching TV. I'm like, is that them in a beer commercial?
Yep, that's sure.
Like you hear it,
Yeah.
and you're like, yo,
That's number 3.
It's starting. Like it's actually starting to work, and it's
I
just
love
like,
that.
yo, I love that. I love the album.
Man, I mean, I love seeing my friends win.
Yeah.
Like it really means a lot to me, and I know that for them it means the same when I'm doing well. Because at the end of the day, all you want to do when you're at these festivals is hang out with your friends that are doing great, and to keep doing that. It doesn't always get to happen that way. We don't always, vibe in that way. However, the Suffers have looked back at a lot of the mistakes that happened on the last 2 releases. The first release, I always say, is the Wild West release because we did it ourselves, and it ended up doing well because we just did what we did.
Yeah.
However, the second record, when I look at most of the critics that came, and anybody that's heard our second record knows that there is no rapping on our record. Paul Wall is doing all the interludes, and Bun gave us the distinct pleasure of having him sing on one of our interludes. And because I was like, you sound like Isaac Hayes to me. I need you to sing on this. And he's amazing.
And
he does. He's singing his wife Queenie in the background, and it's amazing. And Black Radio, again, treated the record with such love and appreciation and open arms. And a lot of our initial critics that loved our first record, a lot of the white critics and folk and country folk, they just didn't understand why we had the nerve to write this neo-soul trend music.
Yeah.
I said, neo-soul, a trend in 2018? Okay, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But again, I had to accept the fact that my marketing budget was only so big for this record, and only half of it was spent. And so with that in the back of my pocket.
You in the black, baby.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was definitely not the best thing to have happened. But at the same time, it's like, I know that the next time I release, we'll do it the right way, or as close to as right as we think we're going to be. But we've made it a purpose and a point to ask for help in every single way that we can when necessary, from the writing process to who we work with to who we ask for help from. And does that mean that everybody's going to tell me yeah? No. Does that mean that everybody's going to tell me no? No. I have some of my musical heroes that have stepped up to help write on this record, and I'm so grateful for them and their contributions and their patience with me and my band and our just fanaticness and my
free-spiritedness.
You said free-spirited.
I would say, yeah, sure.
Free-spirited. So who are some of the writers that you've had that you collaborated with?
So far, it's all over the place. So, we started working on a song with Tank and the Bangas. This guy, Binky Grip Tight, he used to play guitar for Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings and Amy Winehouse for a while. This guy, Robert Ellis, who's a country artist from here. This girl, Maria Massa, and Steve Watkins, who played for this artist named Alan Stone. Who else? Like, it's just kind of all over the place. A lot of folks that people know and don't realize, and a lot of folks that they don't know yet at all. So the range of artists are from big to small to to local to other side of the world. And so awesome. I feel like I just didn't want to have any limitations in that. We also have a lot of local artists. One thing that I really wanted to have more of on this record was just more Black women and more women of color, just more women everywhere. Because I personally had never had that on the previous records. But for this work, I've definitely been orchestrating a lot and going off to different places and just spending extended amounts of time in these cities to get these songs written with these people. So it was 9 days in New Orleans, 9 days in Los Angeles, 9 days. And I don't know why it kept being 9, but it was 9 a lot. 9 in Austin. And when we started the beginning of the real writing process for the record, we were on this cruise called the Capitol Jazz Soul Cruise. And it's that was when I realized that Black people had found us. I was like, oh, hey.
Oh, the Soul Cruise.
Soul Cruise. Well, because we were the youngest group on the boat, and the headliners were like Sheila E. and Gregory Porter and Babyface and Teddy Riley. And I'm like, this is why a lot of Black people think that we aren't in the realm, because we're not being played on the radio. But Black internet radio plays us a lot. And I'm like, oh, they do listen to us. They are finding us. Because sometimes you don't know if it's just some weird dude in a room with a bunch of phones just playing the song.
Wow.
Because that's what it is sometimes.
You didn't realize this by doing Kimmel or any of that,
No, I mean, because for a long time our audiences weren't as mixed as they are now. It wasn't until we made a work of art that was reflective of everybody's personality.
I mean, it makes sense, because the show that we saw, it was kind of Casper, but and
the audience. But it's because.
But you also have these things where you're featured with a lot of rappers too.
Because Paul and Bun was there.
So that's when I play a game called It Ain't Me.
So you're like, hey, I'm still out here.
You know
what I'm saying? Like, I just remember, like I said, my biggest introduction. I said my favorite song is Rob Gillette and You. I think that's just an incredible song. But it is a thing where it's like, and he's always like, oh, Cam is great. Cam is great. And you would hear all these rappers like Cam. And I'm like, okay. So you would think, okay, when that transfer over to the Suffers, like, it's like, all right.
So when we did our Welcome to Houston collaboration with, I believe it was 9 rappers, the rappers didn't know, aside from Bun and Paul and who was the other one? Willie. The rappers didn't know that we were our own band.
Really?
It had been communicated to some of them, and this is like after we've done Letterman. We're on our little wave. They don't know. They're in their own world. The world doesn't know us. We're not expecting people to know who we are. However, it was communicated to them for some reason that we were their backing band. And so there were a lot of moments during this time that occurred that, in retrospect, I'm still very glad that I made the decisions that I made, because it wouldn't have been a good look in the long term. I didn't allow cameras to come in. The people that were running that festival wanted to document it. And I said no to rehearsal recordings because none of them had sheet music. None of them knew what key their shit was in. None of them had a team that was, being very responsive, except for a few. And so I realized very early, okay, this is going to be fucking Wrangell City.
Yeah.
Let me get a grip. And so I talked to my band and I was like, all right, what's the most realistic? We knew everybody's music. So we laid out 25 songs and ended up cutting 2 of them because just 2 of the guys just didn't want to do them, and started learning them. I used to work in oil and gas years ago, but before I had my job, I was an executive assistant for 7 years. So I know how to get people organized. I know how to schedule. I know how to make a plan. So I send this insane email. It's insane. It's insane.
Nice way to put that.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But all read. I need to hear from you or someone from your team by X date, or this is what song we're doing. There will be no changes if I don't hear from you before this date. 3 months. It's a good amount of time. 3 months. I think it's a good amount of time. Then the week before, I sent another email. 1 more week. No changes. 23 songs. Put at the bottom. The show is happening on my birthday. I would like to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would like to enjoy it. 2 of the managers didn't read my email. And then we had a few moments that I'm very glad were not recorded.